Games to be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money. They say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time. Out and about, out chasing paper. The streets of my house and the house always wins like Vegas. Never down for the count. Second win, second nature. Found mine. Never had my hands out. Fuck favors. By design, everything tailored. In my youth, it was shell toes, no Chuck Taylors. Weak soap game, had a game so it's still the same code game, so it's still the same code. We all pay the cost, I mean pay dues. Move with the money state that I can't lose. On the grind, push a hard line with my linemen. Back when I was young, they said it's all about timing. Feel it's my time, all the stars are aligning. I'm a diamond in the rough, couple cuts got me shining. This game you cannot cop on consignment. In the field, all we do is execute assignments. The game should be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk. The game should be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk.
First, we get into this paper. See, I want it all, plus some UNDERDOG acres, a lot of alcohol, few dad bags of paper. Run this shit like a ship and I'm the sailor. Cold, kinda like it's fresh up out the freezer. Cold, if she ain't talking bread, I don't need her. Soon as I meet her, I'ma fuck her, then I leave her. It's the old Mac needs, treat them all like bottom feeders. Break it down slow for them folks that don't know. I'm a seasoned vet, black belt out the dojo. With a wide range of weapons, so I'm out the holster. Keeping all options open, so many ways that I can fold ya. Told you from the gate, never been about no play. Get it on the go, they never been known for no delay. The game should be sold, not to be told. Keep your mouth shut, don't have to break the mold. Mac needs.
Break the work down, it's fence to move. Push that work out, I distribute. Break the work down, it's fence to move. Push that work out, I just distribute. A young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor.
I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. You know I'm the boy, get money's what I'm used to.
Keep it straight from the gate, so I don't confuse ya. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'ma make noise, shout to my producer. I'm an entertainer, but I ain't here to amuse ya. Yeah, I fuck with shooters and they all fucking users. Come through, wake that ass up like a rooster, hella early in the morning. Early bird gets a worm. Finna get rich for 'em, food for the worms. Cutting cocaine, dropping whole things. It's a cold game, make you run your gold chain. Hungry, but I'm moving in a keto state. For sure, I beat the price on the keys in your state. Catch me running up a tail, fucking up a bag. Make me wonder how long will a good thing last. On my Curtis Mayfield, live a life I can't chill. Push a man, pushing packs, all I do is make squeal. Keep it 100, I'm just numb, yo, I can't feel none of these suckers when they say they real. Stacking Uber cash, I'm an out-of-state supply. Random Uber man, here to get away drive. That's the young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the...
What is up? It's Tuesday night, Dynasty night, championship week for some of us.
Definitely not me, but okay.
But What's going on?
Happening, bro. Back for the holidays. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Christmas, New Year's, whatever you celebrate at this time of the year. I know we've been off. We were on this past weekend, obviously spending time with the family, et cetera, et cetera. But we are back in business. As you said, it's the championship week. Some really interesting things happened in the subscriber league, happened in our home league. So it's just this almost feels like Christmas twice if you're in a position to make something happen. But yeah, excited to get back into the show and chat with all you guys.
Yeah, man. Huss in the building. Daniel, what up, Daniel? Marty, what's good, Marty? Philip in the building. What's good, Philip? Dylan, salutes. I'm out of the finals. Lost to a good team at the right time. Salutes to all the finalists. Happy holidays. Yep, absolutely.
It'd be like that.
Listen, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. In two of my leagues that I lost in the first round, I would have won this week. One of my leagues, I missed the playoffs by one game. I would have destroyed everybody in the playoffs so far. It just so happens that way. I mean, you know,
I always said, and Bagla and I talk about this all the time. In the regular season for fantasy, it's 70% skill and 30% luck, right? Throughout the course of the 14 games that we play. When you get into the playoffs, it's the opposite. It's 70% luck and 30% skill, right? Because for the most part, you dance with the people that brought you there, but there's just an element of luck involved. You know, you can have clearly the best team, and for whatever reason, certain guys don't perform. Injuries happen, right? We've seen some key injuries take place, you know, down the stretch of this particular season. So, you know, it's a fickle bitch. And that's why when you actually do win a championship, it's like that much more gratifying because it's such a long road. So many crazy things happen. But yeah, shout out to everybody in their finals matchup coming up this week.
Yeah, and today, at least for Dynasty purposes, that portion of the show, we'll be talking about just droppable players, roster cloggers, guys that are kind of just wasting on your roster that you need to get off your roster. So we'll be going over that. But in the meantime, I mean, subscriber league. Did I make the wrong play? I played Mullins instead of Russell Wilson. I thought it was a better matchup. I wind up losing by 1 point. And in that particular league, the difference between Russell Wilson and Mullins was like 2 points. So I would have won if I would have stuck with Russell Wilson.
But to be fair, Nick Mullins had a hell of a game. He did have 4 interceptions, but so at the end of the day, Nick Mullins, you know, he threw for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 4 interceptions, dude, like if he doesn't throw one of those interceptions, you win. So at the end of the day, I don't, you can always look back at every single matchup, whether it's regular season or playoffs, and look at it and go, if this guy doesn't make it thrown in toe, if he doesn't fumble.
I'm looking down the line of that particular game. So I missed the bonus with Tua by like 7 yards. I missed a bonus with somebody else by like 7 yards. I think it was Ridley had like 90 something yards, I think, or something.
He had 90, but he had 2 touchdowns. I mean, you can't really.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that these little tiny things, like, you know, fucking
one more catch here.
Connor got a bunch of garbage time fucking bullshit. Had a big, huge catch at one point down the stretch, and you know, you can look at all of those like little things, and it's just like, damn, if just one other thing could have went my way, but it is.
I mean, listen, it seemed like it seemed like a golden opportunity because his super flex quarterback Sam Howell had negative points.
Bro, I know the best team. He was what, like 10-2 or whatever it was, or
he was a 1 seed, 12-2,
12-2, whatever it was. But I didn't have Chase. I didn't have pretty much my best player. I didn't have Chase. I had to play without Chase, and that kind of left me in a bind. I had to play
Godwin, Ridley, and Thielen stepped up.
I wound up playing Elijah Moore, and because I liked the matchup, which was a good play. The only problem was that the only person that Flacco threw the ball to was Amari Cooper. So
yeah, if you play Kareem Hunt, or Gibby, then it's, you know, it's different.
I was thinking about playing Gibby, but I was hoping that Flacco was going to air it out, which he did. It just didn't go to Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
I one more catch. That's all we needed. So
Honestly, anything.
anyway, yeah. I mean, you can look back in hindsight, but it is what it is. I mean, fuck.
That's a tough way to go out.
Yep.
And Lamar was taking a couple kneels at the end of the game, so that was also another factor. Where
Gus
it's like,
Edwards.
God.
I had Gus, so one more catch, or if he would have ran in a tutty instead of Lamar throwing another tutty. I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot. Missed the playoffs by 20 points, scored most points past 2 weeks. Yeah, I feel it, man. That's what happened. So I'm in one dynasty ship. Lost in the semis and 2 others, but I'm in one dynasty ship, and I'm in 2 redraft ships out of 5. I lost this week in the semifinals. I had fucking Addison and Hawkinson both go down, and I wound up losing by 10 points because CMC was a beast. But fuck, man, crazy. Yep. Stevie B Smooth, Hammer Hussein.
No, Hammer, Hussein. That's hot.
Hammer Hussein. Oh, Hussein.
I thought that was Hammer Hussein
Love it.
too. I was like,
love it, Dylan. Song, what up, Song? What's goody, brother? Stevie B Smooth, Hammer, Hussein Bogey salutes. I can't. Oh, gotcha. Had Chase, Kamara, Sutton, Diggs. Yeah, bro. And Diggs has been interesting because he's been kind of shit in the bed, and I kind of wonder what he's gonna wind up costing this offseason. I feel like his value is gonna go down a little bit. He could be a good buy for some contending teams.
Yeah,
especially with the draft coming up, like if you can snag him for a late first because somebody wants a rookie. I mean,
yeah, I totally agree. I think that especially some of these older guys, like you said, around draft time, these older guys that are not scoring points yet, they can be valuable. We saw it with Keenan Allen this past offseason. We saw it with Mike Evans, right? So you throw Stephon Diggs in there. Devontae Adams is another really good one, I think. Considering, and I'm gonna touch on Devontae Adams a little bit later, kind of a little teaser there for you guys. He's not droppable, but he's relevant to one of the guys I'm going to talk about. So so really interesting point of the season where everybody except for 2 teams is still playing for something.
Yeah, Caddy said he's in the ship with 2 week rounds. Well, I'm guessing this is the second last week. Okay, you're down by 19. Okay. Adams sold me. Yeah,
Devontae Adams was bad.
Listen, really
subscriber
league. I don't know how I made it as far as I did, but I did.
Neither do I.
Wind up hitting at the right times.
I thought you were actually going to make it to the championship too.
I thought I was. I know. I thought I fucking was too. But yeah, I mean, Russ has played pretty well all season. I didn't expect him to be that good, but he wound up being particularly good. And now going into next year, I mean, I've got some decisions. I've got some decisions to make. I've got some, deciding kind of what I want to do. Do I just run it back? Most likely, probably, because I do have Godwin as well. I mean, Ridley. So I'm probably just going to try and run it back without trying to kind of sell off everything. We'll see what happens during the season. But I don't have my first, so that kind of sucks. But it would have been a late.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I actually, going into next season with my subscriber league team, I absolutely love it. I've talked about it before. I just ran into I scored good points, and that's something I'm, excited about. But I just, for me, I don't have my first either, but I do have 3 seconds. So, if I want to make a move here or there, I do have Cheetah, who I can probably get a hefty, amount for, maybe try and reset that with Olave. Olave and who else do I have on this team? I got Dubes. You can always upgrade somewhere, but yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of, what we've been trying to talk about pretty much lately is, we talked about wide receiver stashes. We talked about running back stashes. We'll do tight ends. We'll do quarterbacks as well. We'll get into that. But kind of just, what are we kind of doing? And this is what I'm doing basically on the teams that I'm not competing for. I'm, picking up some of these stashes if I can, trying to clear up my roster a little bit. And don't forget your taxi squads. I mean, you don't have to take those guys out of taxi right now. You can leave them in. And then once the draft happens, you draft your players. At that point, then you can start making some decisions on guys that you want to drop, guys you got to take out of the taxi. But, you don't have to go into the draft with a empty taxi squad. So don't think that you do and think that you have to move those players or anything like that before the draft, because you don't need to.
And also, too, you may be dealing some draft picks. So that's why those, like, I think an underrated part of Dynasty is roster, utilization, right? How you utilize your roster. We don't talk about it a ton, like in its technical sense, about, making sure you utilize your taxi squad, when to take guys off, when to, all that good stuff. So I think roster utilization is super important too, because in the situation that I was in, perfect example, I wasn't playing for anything. I was, but not technically, late in the season, and I had Keaton Mitchell, right? And if I take him off that taxi squad, I lose a roster spot, and then he goes on IR anyway. I don't make the playoffs, and now I'm, that's one less spot that I'll have when the rookie draft rolls around.
Yeah, I got a few Chase Browns on some of my taxis. I got Parker Washington on a few too.
It's tempting to take those guys off when they have good weeks.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna hold on to them, for now, unless I can get a good deal on them, and then move them to my active roster when that time comes. But there's no rush to do that right now. Even though we are going to be talking about droppable players, and I'll get into a little bit more before you drop these players, what you should do. But Dylan, Stevie, go for the rookies. Yeah, I mean, listen, I love the rookies, but it all depends on your format, all depends on your situation, right? There's a lot of things that go into it. Jay, what up, Jay? What's goody, Jay?
Jay.
Flowers, Dell, Douglas, Wilson, Olave. Yeah, those are some good dynasty players.
But those guys are going to cost, right? A lot of those guys are going to cost you. So,
yep. Yeah, these guys are going to cost you. Are you talking about trying to go in to get these guys, Dylan?
Yeah, that's what you're saying
going
about
to
the
buy
rookies.
them. Well, yeah, Olave and Wilson is going to cost you a ton. Douglas probably won't cost you much, but a lot of people are kind of stashing him. A lot of people do like him. Dell and Flowers. I mean, we recently talked about that when we did the keep trade cut rankings, kind of going over that, what you can kind of do with those guys and try and use the value that they have right now and try and try and take advantage, tier up to those top 10, 12 wide receivers if you can.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. Rashi Rice, same kind of situation. He's being valued very high. Can we now take advantage?
Oh, yeah.
Because, once the next season comes, I mean, if they draft somebody or if they wind up, signing somebody, right, that value is going to take a hit. So if you can take advantage right now, I'd love to try and do that if you can. Jay said he's got some pickups. Demercado, Wicks, Johnson of the Broncos. Those are good pickups.
Yeah, we talked about some of our stashes as well. So if you haven't seen that video, Jay, go check it out. I definitely had Wicks as one of my dynasty stashes. And he paid dividends last week. Like, he's already a rosterable guy, right? He's making contributions as a rookie. So definitely a rosterable guy, especially with the injuries that seem to happen every week to Packers receivers, right? And Wicks did get hurt, but Jaden Reed and Christian Watson were out. So Wicks and Dubes come in and they play well.
Yep. You said he meant for future. Do you mean, what do I think about these guys for the future? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're asking, Dylan? Just let me know. I mean, we could talk about those guys for sure. Caddy said started defense. Cleveland versus the Jets. Jets at Cleveland or San Fran at Washington.
I mean, I think they're all pretty solid. Zach Wilson's definitely out next week, so it's going to be Trevor Siemian, it appears.
Yeah.
Listen, the Jets have a really good defense. Joe Flacco's playing really well. That's a tough one. I think I'd roll with San Francisco at this point. I know they got rolled against Baltimore last night, but I still think I'd lead San Francisco. That's a tough one. The Jets have a terrible offense. So if you're feeling Cleveland, I mean, I can understand it. You're out over there? You having some breakdowns? What's going on? Steve having some breakdowns over there. But yeah, Caddy, really quick, just to finish up your question here. I'd roll San Francisco, but I could see if you would want to roll with Cleveland just because the Jets stink. Yeah, Jay, it is my show now, right? I actually hosted a couple of shows on some Sunday mornings when Steve wasn't around. It's a little different. I'm not used to usually hosting the show, but I'm a capable fill-in when Steve's stuff goes haywire. What else? Caddy, I see your other question here. Start 2, Barkley versus the Rams. Breece Hall at Cleveland, Kenny Walker versus Pittsburgh, Rashad White versus New Orleans. I think I'm going Barkley. I mean, you got 4 really good running backs, man. That's a really tough one because any of these guys has good upside. I do like Rashad White and his pass catching ability. The Bucs have been playing fairly well. Let me just dive into some of Rashad White's numbers. If my sleeper doesn't want to act up. But yeah, Rashad White has been pretty damn good, dude. I don't see how you can't play him. He's currently RB3, and he's just been a beast all season. I think Rashad White is definitely the guy you want to play here. And then, Barkley versus the Rams, Breece Hall at Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland, tough matchup. And then Kenny Walker versus Pittsburgh. I think I'll go Barkley and Rashad White here, to be honest with you. I think those are stable enough guys. Rashad White, definitely I'm playing as the lock here. So, hopefully that helps you out a little bit, Caddy. I don't know what's going on with Steve, but I'm going to run down some of these comments. I don't know if I can highlight them per se, but I'll run down some of them here. Let's see. Peacock, appreciate you. We see a comment out there, some fire emojis. Jay, me and Steve talked about Trey Tucker after the wide receiver stash show and went off the next game. Yeah, Trey Tucker is really interesting. And I actually picked up Trey Tucker in one of my Dynasty leagues, Jay, because I just saw like how, when you see flashes of a guy, you're like, all right, there could be something in there, right? Hunter Renfrow, nope. Jacoby Myers is really solid, and Michael Mayer are really solid, obviously outside of Devontae Adams. But yeah, Trey Tucker is definitely a pretty solid stash. I wonder what the Raiders do with the quarterback situation this particular season. I'm not too sure. Jimmy G is the answer, and then Aiden O'Connell, not really a big fan. So yeah, so that's that'll be really interesting to see how they that wide receiver room shakes out. Wendell. Yeah, big dog. You said Dynasty. That's different than the season, right? Yeah, in a sense. We were just talking about picking them up or trying to trade for them, those young guys. Trading for them and what we feel about them can be 2 different things. We could like a guy, but if the cost is too high, then we're kind of like, is it really worth it? So yeah, so I think that's 2 different things in terms of, what we would pay for a guy and, if we really like a guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. So I was just running down some of the questions.
Can you not click on them? Can you not click on them?
Nah.
What?
I tried.
Bro.
I don't know if I'm logged in or not, but
I'm gonna kill you. Peacock. What up, Peacock?
I shouted out Peacock.
Cool. Yeah, Tucker's a good one. I'm not as crazy high on him just because Devontae Adams is owed a shit ton of money and Jacoby Myers just got a contract. But I mean, he is a guy that can gain value. Like we talk about, those are the guys that we are
It's a good
trying to
stash,
go after.
right? Not a lot of risk in terms of what you
Mhm.
get him for.
Yeah, Big Dog, you said Dynasty. Was this about those players? Did he want us to talk about those players in particular?
So my thing was for that particular question, and I was saying, right, there's a big difference between liking a guy and then actually going out and getting him, right? Like
Mhm.
we could like a guy, but if the price is too high, or if it's not the right situation for you, then you might not go get him. So I think that's the key in terms of that, whatever Wendell was talking about.
The main thing that I've kind of, the way that I look at it now, the guy doesn't matter. The guy really doesn't matter. Like, we like certain guys. Guys are good, yeah, but what do people in your league think about those players, right? We kept talking about how trying to tier up and trying to tier up. Like, what is my league, gonna like? Like, yes, we do like players, but at the same time, shape your team how you want to shape it. Have that core. We talk about making that core set of kind of wide receivers that you can really kind of build your team around, right? Your quarterbacks, your wide receivers. And how can you do that is, like we talk about some of these stashes, right? Using some of those guys to add in some of the trades, right? Using your draft picks, right? To add in some of these trades to try and get some of these guys and just go from one level up and up and up, right? We talk about a stash guy, you turn that into a wide receiver 3. Then all of a sudden you turn that into a Rashid Rice. And then you turn Rashid Rice into a
Jalen Waddle.
And then you
Something
turn that
plus for
Jalen
sure.
Waddle into fucking
AJ Brown.
Ace, right? AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, right? We it's just keep on trying to cheer up and cheer up. So anything that can gain value, again, we're just playing the market. We're just playing the market. Kat said, what we doing with JMO? Try and trade him if you can. Starting to show real wide receiver flashes, but the advanced metrics point to him being an awful route runner. Yeah, he's not the greatest route runner. I think we kind of know what he is. I mean, he's electric with the ball in his hands, right? He's really quick. He's really good. And he stretches the field. He's a speedster.
He's what they
But
needed.
that's
He's
kind
a
of
good fit. Yeah.
that's what he is. He's more
Boom or bust.
He's better for the NFL than he is for like us in fantasy. He is going to be one of those boom bustish kind of guys. So if you can get some value or use him in a trade to try and tier up, add him with something else, I'd be looking to do that, because I don't want to make the bet that JMO succeeds and becomes something. I let somebody else make that bet, right? But use that little bit of value he has, right?
I'm going to give you a really good comp, but I want to make a quick point. I think because the sample size is so limited for Jameson Williams, people are still excited about his potential, right? And I think that's a part of the intrigue with a guy like Jameson Williams on a really good offense in Detroit, with all the weapons we know they have, Laporta, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Monty, Jared Goff's really good. But if at the end of the day, I told you Jameson Williams was Gabe Davis, do you feel great about that?
His combat's getting no. That's
what I'm saying.
Davis.
But that's what I'm saying,
like
right?
Type of place, but people do, and he was
That
a
boomer
former
bust.
first-round pick. He was injured, then he had the suspension. Right. So people are still. There are people out there that are still giving him that leeway, that are still giving him that benefit of the doubt, and you just got to find that person.
Well, because these guys, like I said, these guys are so, and I think the thing with Gabe Davis was why we all got excited is because that crazy game, that crazy playoff game he had against Kansas City a couple of years ago, where he caught like 4 touchdowns, and then we just expected him to kind of take off from there, and it just never happened. And I think that is, when we see Jameson Williams catch one of those bombs, it's like, yeah, that's electric, but you're gonna get a lot more, 3 grab or 2 grabs on 3 targets type of games than you will that 6 grabs for 100 and a touchdown type games.
For sure. And I like JMO, don't get me wrong, but like I don't want to always make the bet that the guys take that next jump, right? If they're kind of those middling kind of guys, the JMOs, right? But I keep bringing up what I talked about last year, like the Pickens, the Christian Watsons, how I just want to take advantage. Like we're not always going to hit if we bet on those guys all the time. So you have to play the market and just think of it more than just a player. Play the market and get something sure thing. You know, it's great to try and bet on a lot of these guys and then they hit and then like, you know, awesome. Okay, you played it out, but it doesn't always play out that way, and that can hurt you, you know, more times than not. So
yeah,
like I don't know what's J-Mo's ceiling. Like I don't think he'll ever be a wide receiver 1 for fantasy.
In the current situation he's in, no, but I agree. I was trying to buy him this offseason, like fairly low, just because I thought he would be a good, you know, a good boom or bust type guy, etc. So I don't know. I just think we haven't seen enough yet. It's not a large enough sample size for us to really determine what he's going to be, but the chances are, you know, greater that he doesn't become, you know, that wide receiver 1, which I don't think he is either, to be honest with you.
No, he said, what are we selling? What are you selling J-Mo for, though? I mean, realistically, you're not getting a first. So you're probably getting a second, maybe a second and a piece. And you can kind of try and be selective with it. Anything with some upside. I'd rather have 2 shots, you know, if I have 2 shots at something, you know, because you could always use that second for something else too, right? You can buy a veteran if you need one down the stretch during the season. I mean, you know, so if at least that's liquid where it's the second round pick, because if you bet on J-Mo and he fucking shits the bed next year again,
you get
now you've got nothing. Exactly. Instead, you've got a second and maybe you take one of those backup running backs that we've brought up. I mean, check the RB stash videos. Speaking of Chris Rodriguez, 2 tutties.
I peeped that.
Gave you a semifinal fucking start.
That's wild.
You know, and I mean, hey. My bad. Let me see what I missed here. Huss in the building. What up, Huss? Did you get this one? Adams, Cup, Rice, Keenan?
No, I was at he had the first one, the start 2 Barkley, the running back one, right before Peacock's comment. I gave my picks.
Got it. All right.
But I don't know what you would do. So Caddy asked for running backs. This is the wide receivers.
I see it. Hold on. Barkley, Hall, Walker, White.
That's fucking tough.
I want to say Barkley and White. Like
that's exactly what I said.
I don't trust
exactly what I said.
And Hall, I mean, he did have a great game, but now we're going against Cleveland, so it's hard not to do that. But I feel like any of those 3 guys you can't go wrong with.
What's crazy about this question is Rachaad White's the lock here. Because Rachaad White's RB3, people.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep. Forrest, I see you down there. I'll get to you in a minute here. I'm heading down the list. I got you, bro. Water will be a factor. Slow attacks. Jameis Saints. All right, here we go. J-Mo and Laporta will flip-flop while St. Brown gets a steady target share. Yeah, St. Brown is not going to be affected, I don't think, whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Jay. I don't think J-Mo's presence affects Sam Laporta one bit, to be honest with you. I really don't. Because Sam Laporta has easily proven that he is a top 5 fantasy tight end at the position in his first season. The guy's just awesome. And he does things that are different than J-Mo, right? Now, if they occupied the kind of same space on the field, I would lean towards agreeing with you, but they don't, right? Laporta occupies that middle of the field, those, you know, intermediate routes, whereas J-Mo is a deep threat. We know exactly what he is. You know, Laporta's that operator in the middle. So Laporta his role is safe. He's the clear number 2 option behind St. Brown, and I don't think it's particularly close after that. You can throw in Gibbs, you know, the running backs in there as well, but Sam Laporta is the clear number 2 pass catcher on that team.
Picking up Jameson Williams, dropping Christian Watson tonight. Watson scares me being injury prone. I'm guessing this is for redraft.
Yeah.
I mean,
should be.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't know if you're not playing any of those guys, right? I mean,
No, I'm not.
if you're talking about Dynasty, like I'm probably keeping Christian Watson. I think he
Oh,
has
yeah.
a lot better path to increasing his value back up into the top 20 wide receivers than
He was
J-Mo
already
does.
doing that before. He was already doing that before he went down.
Yeah, if you're talking Dynasty, no, I'm not picking up J-Mo and dropping Christian Watson. Make sure you keep him. It's a keeper. It's a keeper best ball. I mean, best ball is interesting because J-Mo catches some bombs, but no, I still want Watson. I mean, I'd
Watson
still
has
rather
a clear
have
path
Watson,
to steady upside.
especially if you're able to keep him. But all right, Forrest, Rashard Bateman, Treylon Burks, stash or drop. It's funny you say Rashard Bateman because he was actually on my cut list. He's one of those droppable players for me.
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason to really keep him on your roster. You can just pick up somebody off of waivers that's going to do the same exact thing, if not better. So I think he's just one of those waste of wide receivers, one of those roster clogger wide receivers. Now, I don't want to just drop him right off the bat. I'm gonna send him away. I'm gonna spam everybody for a third. All 11 other GMs. I'm sending Rashard Bateman for a third round pick to all of those teams. If no bite, I'm sending a fourth round pick to all of those teams. Okay. If that don't bite, I'm asking for one of those running backs, one of those backup running backs. I don't care. Any guy that's on a roster, give me one of those backups that we talked about trying to stash for Rashard Bateman.
Yeah, and I think I think what you said is really important. And when we get into our droppable guys, there are some situations that I'm going to talk about because I do have some droppable guys that you're going to be like, really? But like there are caveats to, when you should drop them, if you should drop them, et cetera, et cetera. But the one caveat I think that you brought up that was really interesting is try and get something for these guys, right? If you're going to drop them anyway, don't let people know that you're going to drop him because that takes away your leverage. But, shop them around, right? Because if you're going to drop them anyway, if you get a third round pick, that now you have an asset, basically a found asset from something that you weren't even going to use, like a Rashard Bateman.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that's what, if anybody's in any of the hustle leagues with me, I'm sorry. I've spammed everybody, every single person. Like, can I get this? Can I get that? Or if I haven't yet, then it's coming. But yeah, I think that's an important part of, what I wanted to talk about with, droppable players, these guys that are roster cloggers. Before you drop them, just send out for those fourth round picks. Just send it for something. Send it for any of those backup running backs. See if you can grab absolutely anything. Otherwise, if you cannot, just drop them. Let somebody else take up that space on their roster so you have the free spot, and then use that to pick up one of these backup running backs, to pick up one of these backup quarterbacks, right? We know how important some of these backups are. I mean, even Joe Flacco is getting, nobody thought Joe Flacco was going to get burned, right?
No. And be effective.
So for sure. Appreciate you, Forrest. Kevin, Jordan Love has scored more points than Mahomes. Has he?
He's been good.
Where are you looking? I don't know. It depends where I'm on FF today, and they're similar. They're within 10 points. I mean, it's got to be relatively close. But yeah, I mean,
but the value, where was Mahomes going? Where was Love going?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's still top 6 quarterback. Obviously, it's a bad season, but can you argue that how can it get any worse for Mahomes? And he's still QB, 6, 7,
that's the floor,
8 at worst. Like that's the absolute floor for him. But he's typically 1, 2.
But I will say this: I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes has fallen off a cliff. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback all of a sudden. However, the foundation's starting to erode. Right? They lost Tyreek Hill last year. I understand they won the Super Bowl. Right? Travis Kelce looks like he's lost a half a step. At this point, Rashee Rice is pretty good. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1. And then what else do you feel good about? Now, obviously, if they go out and get Mike Evans, all right, cool. Now, now some things change, right? They draft some guys or whatever the case may be. But as we currently stand, like, I don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? And we've seen it for a good sample size now that this offense is struggling, not because Mahomes isn't good anymore, but the pieces around you matter.
Yep. And Superflex Dynasty is this one of those opportunities
To
that
go get
Patrick
him.
Mahomes is somehow available and you can go and get him? Is anybody out there selling any of these top quarterbacks that you're
Justin
sour
Herbert,
on?
another one of them.
A Justin Herbert, a Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
A Patrick Mahomes is a good one, especially, what's going on right now in this year.
Jordan Love, really quick. QB6, by the way. Jordan Love, would you believe Jordan Love has 30 touchdowns this season? 30.
Oh, let me update this.
27 passing. He's got 3 rushing.
Oh, he's got 3 rushing. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So 30 touchdowns Jordan Love's accounted for. If you would have told me, and he's still got another 2 games to play, he could be in the mid 30s before it's all said and done. And I talked about at the beginning of the season, especially down the stretch, that I thought this team would gel. Now they're still missing some offensive pieces, etc. But Jordan Love's playing really well, and he's played really well ever since essentially that Chargers game. A few weeks back before they got on a little bit of a run. But yeah, if Jordan Love is going to finish as QB8, that's tremendous value if you picked him up, in your super flex leagues in the 7th round.
For sure. Shit. Bogey in the building. What up, Bogey?
Bogey, what up, man? Hope you had a good holiday, bro.
We'll talk about your boy Purdy a little later on.
Yeah, that's not my boy exactly, but okay.
Well, no, not you.
Oh, Bogey's boy.
Diaz, what up, Diaz? What's good, Diaz?
Diaz, better late than never.
Yeah. Diaz, you got some ships in play? What you got going on here? And whatever happened with that Empire thing? Did you wind up making that trade? And are you in the ship? Are you in or are you out? Will said, I can snag Watson again in week 18. I'm thinking if Jameson is out there, maybe Watson will still be left. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather just
depends on how serious your league is, right? Because if you got, a bunch of serious dudes, they're going to know Watson's out there and somebody will pick him up. So that's risky. But, if you're playing with people that are, it's a risk. I mean,
put it this way. If Jameson is out there on waivers, if you're talking about waivers, like we're dropping guys, it's got to be a relatively shallow bench and probably a shallow starters, right? So I'm guessing that Christian Watson is like not even at like the starter. You can't even start him. Like he's not in the range.
Yeah.
Laporta just played against Minnesota. They're tough against tight end. Looking for value for this week. So that's why I'm going Williams. Both of these guys aren't the top receivers on my team. Not even close. Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense. I mean, it's understandable, right? I mean, if you're still playing for something, but because I don't think Christian Watson's coming back this week. I haven't even checked him out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but still, I mean, if I had to bet on one again for the value to go up in the offseason and next season, I would my bet would be on Christian Watson as far as the value. Oh yeah, this was Caddy's other one. Adams, Cup, Rice, Keenan. I mean, that Cincinnati defense is just horrible.
Yeah, I'm going Rashee Rice and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
Keenan's interesting if Keenan plays. No, I'm not playing Devontae Adams. No.
Just play Cupp and Rice and say fuck it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. They've got the best quarterbacks. They've got the best matchups.
No
like,
QB. Yep,
if
no
you're looking
QB
at it
for
that way.
Keenan.
Yeah. Would you pick up Williams and drop Shaheed instead? Well, you did say it was best ball, so I kind of do like Shaheed, but Williams is interesting too. In that case, do you get kick return like you get return yards too? I think that would probably matter.
Yeah,
Isaac in the building. What up, Isaac?
Isaac, my man.
I have to drop a wide receiver as we have a limit of 9. Wow, what the?
Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you probably don't even. If you have a limit of 9, what is the amount of starters that you have to play here? Because it's got to be relatively shallow. Shallow. If you have to have a limit of 9, I mean, how many can you start? Like, can you start 3? Can you start 4? Because you don't need no 9 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Can't drop Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Waddle, Pittman, JJ, or Puka. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6 awesome wide receivers. How many can you actually start? Oh no, it's best ball, so he doesn't have to start it. That's right. Okay, return yards count. Yeah, it's best ball. That's right. I mean, shit. I don't think you need much. I don't think you need much at all, man. So yeah, you're definitely not dropping any of those guys. Kelsey has not lost a step. When you double or triple teamed every play, no one's going to look good. Just ask Diggs.
So the interesting thing about that is, and I don't have the metrics. I could kind of look them up. But to my eye, when I'm watching them play, and I totally understand if you're getting double or triple team, right? They have virtually nobody else's to throw to outside of Rashee Rice. But even last year, man, there was no Tyreek Hill, and it just looked like when he caught the ball, he would spin, turn upfield quickly. It just doesn't look the same. Now that could be for a number of different factors. I would totally agree if you're getting double and triple teamed. I totally agree. But listen, at 34 years old, going into your 35 age season, the guys are going to lose a step or a half a step, and that makes a big difference when you're in the NFL. So, and he's taken a ton of hits, right? The way he plays is a physical game, or his game is physical. So, it just doesn't look the same in terms of yards after catch. How he looks just on the field. It doesn't look the same. Now, like I said, could be a number of different reasons, but it just doesn't look like he has that quick cut in and out when he gets the ball. I could be wrong. Maybe next year he goes out and has another, vintage 1,400 yard and, 10 touchdown season.
Mm-hmm. No, I think I'm actually with you on that, where I don't know if it's necessarily losing a step, I guess. You can say that, but yeah, the yards after catch is right on the money. He was first last year in yards after catch. He's fourth. And at the tight end position, like that's a lot, compared to the tight ends that are out there that are getting yak. So yeah, he definitely hasn't been having those explosive plays. And, you could chalk that up to the injuries, right? I mean, right. He's been banged up a little bit this year.
That's true. But that comes with age, no?
Exactly. Is that a productivity of the age where now maybe he's starting to break down just a little bit?
And his style of play.
That is kind of affecting him a little bit. Now, yes, he is the only guy on that team, right? Everybody else is pretty trash. Only like Rashee Rice is the only guy you can kind of trust. And even he's got a lot of drops. But yeah, I think it's just they definitely need somebody else on the outside for sure, to kind of, take the defense away, because they don't have a deep threat right now, right? They always had that deep threat where, they were able to still hit Juju over the middle. They had a guy that could still get down the field. They don't have that. Like MVS is just not that.
There's no threat.
It's not that, right?
Yeah.
They need something else. So the defense is keying in now on just that middle of the field and keeping it short. And they can't. That's why Pacheco's getting a shit ton of catches, right? I mean, we're seeing them being played a lot differently because they have nobody to get open down the field, like intermediate and down the field. And all it is Kelsey. So for sure, you dig in on Kelsey and everybody else is trash. So it's just rough. It's rough. Nino, what up, Nino? Y'all believe Stroud or Pittman will play this week?
So CJ Stroud, it says he could return. We're not sure. The concussion protocol is always super weird. I think Bogey had brought it up, or somebody had brought it up a couple weeks ago, where down the stretch it seemed like guys were coming back faster in the concussion protocol, where guys weren't even by like Friday. They didn't even have an injury designation. So it's always tricky with the concussion protocol. You just never know. You kind of just have to monitor it at this point, depending on the severity of, his symptoms.
Yeah, for sure.
And who else did he say? Pittman?
Yeah, Pittman.
Michael Pittman ruled out for 16, concussion and shoulder. That's another one. Same thing as Stroud. Just keep your eye on it, and, you have to monitor it throughout the week.
Love had an easier schedule than Mahomes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not worried about Mahomes. I mean, yes, he has a down year, but just look at the circumstances kind of around him. Kelsey, like we talked about, Kelsey banged up, not really much weapons around. Like, yes, he's having a down year, and that's okay. And you know what? In super flex leagues and in dynasty, like that is a good opportunity to try and get Mahomes. To try and buy Mahomes. I mean, you might be able to get Mahomes at QB 3-4 in dynasty startup drafts. Like, people really might go with some other guys ahead of him. So
no, at no point am I saying Jordan Love is better or will be better than Mahomes. But I guess what, the key thing was really two things for me is, number one, seeing the progression of him, right? He's beaten some really good teams, right? He's shown me some things. So the progression is definitely there. And then also the value tied into where you get these guys, right? If you have two guys that are finishing at the same spot and you get one guy in the, at the 102 and one guy in the 7th round, then obviously it was a better value for this season, right? Because they could, like I said, the Chiefs could say, you know what, we're not going to dick around. We're going to go out and get Mike Evans. We're going to go out and really upgrade this wide receiver core, to help Mahomes kind of reestablish himself as the overall QB1.
Yeah. Yeah, it says he's out in 3 in 7 ships. Just traded Flacco for Mullins and a 4th because of the matchup. Okay. Packers giving up elite QB finishes 4 weeks in a row. That's true.
I don't know how Bryce Young throws for 300 yards. First time in his career, obviously, and just really looked good. And then we made Baker Mayfield look like prime Joe Montana. So I ain't mad at that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Will said it's a 10 team. Yeah, so it is relatively shallow. Early in the week, but full PPR, Gibbs or Bijan? Gibbs versus Dallas, and then Bijan versus Chicago.
Gibbs.
Yeah.
You can't trust Arthur Smith to do the right thing with Bijan. Give me Gibbs.
That's true. I'll go Gibbs too. Because no matter what the game is, Gibbs is going to be involved, whether they're up, they're down.
For sure.
So pretty sure Watson might get picked up. I think I can live with the trade-off of having Jameson. Consider I have love in Aaron Jones. Yeah.
Somebody's going to get Watson.
Yeah. Empire rules you cannot trade for any players upon conclusion of the rookie draft. That's right. Unless you declare before the rookie draft, you are not going after the Empire pot. Okay, so you have to say basically that your win doesn't mean anything. Basically, you're just like, nah, I'm good. This doesn't count as my shit. Okay, I got it. Rashid's a big score. So yeah, why would you? Yeah, they're definitely not dropping him then. If you're getting points for that too, then Texan Steve, what's up? What's up, my man? Keenan or Hall? I'll probably go Hall in that case.
Yeah, I might lean Breece Hall as well, but I know Keenan's still going to get targets if he's out there. That's tough. Give me Keenan.
Well, it looks like you know what you're doing, man. You're building up the team. You got it. If Keenan doesn't play, Hall, Walker, or Adams, it's still Hall. Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, just a quick aside. It does say that Allen doesn't seem particularly close to returning.
So that might be out.
Week, so
what about Jacobs?
I think Jacobs is going to be out, dude. There's nothing to play for there. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season. This was one of the concerns with Josh Jacobs was if the Raiders are just out of it. Now the Raiders actually are kind of still sort of in it, right? They had that big win. Inactive from Monday, quadricep illness. Jacobs managed, blah, blah, blah. He'll presumably need to practice. At this point in the week, you have to monitor the guy's practice. We're not getting a ton of information right now. Most of the updates haven't come in. And today's only Tuesday. So most likely you'll get a practice report tomorrow. So just keep your eye on that.
Yeah, for sure. Kelsey's lost in that swift vagina magic.
Leave it to Diaz to come up with some.
Yeah, we went over that. Puka, Kyron, Achan. Who do you think is the waiver MVP this season? Oh man, it's gotta be Puka, bro.
Yeah, because Kyron was kind of on the radar from last year. Achan, you can argue Achan as well, but when it comes to Puka, it just doesn't. There's really no stacking up because Puka's done it from week 1 all the way through. Achan's played 3 games, missed a bunch.
That's the
No.
thing. Yeah, yeah. I think Achan is eliminated just because he didn't play as many games in the regular season. He gave you what, maybe 2-3 starts, because most likely most people didn't play him that first game.
At first, yep.
So you got what, a couple starts out of him, and then he shit the bed in the playoffs for you.
Puka was pretty much in every lineup after week 1.
Kyron's been awesome, but he did get hurt. But Puka, I mean, Puka's what, top 10 wide receiver right now, and you got him off of waivers. I mean, to add on top of whoever else you had on your squad already.
Yeah, wide receiver 7.
If he wasn't, I mean, maybe he was drafted in some leagues, maybe some deeper leagues, but otherwise it'd be Kyron in that sense. But
Puka's going to finish with 100 catches, close to 1,400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Maybe he gets 6. That's wild. Wide receiver 7 currently in full PPR.
Kadarius Phony and company. Yeah, it is causing Mahomes interceptions for sure, but nobody's going to see that part of it.
That's actually a good point by Diaz. And I was on Instagram the other day, and with that interception, I think from Kadarius Toney, I think they did like lip reading with Mahomes on the sideline. He's like, "Yo, I can't stand this guy," or something like something weird like that. There was something. I'll send it to you if I can find it.
What I think he was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So listen. I love Kelsey. I think he's awesome, but it doesn't look like it used to. And there, like I said, it could be a number of reasons. But listen, when you're 34, 35 years old and you're a tight end that's played as many games as he had, taken as much punishment as he had, you don't think that's going to cause you to lose a half a step at some point?
I think that's the thing too, is like later on in like Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates' career, they weren't big with the yak. Like
they were just slow plodding guys.
It's about that time where like that part of the game is going to start to erode a little bit, right?
The quick burst right after you get the catch.
Lamar says other QB. Missed the Fields trade. What was the Fields trade, Diaz? Did I miss it? Hammer, can you scroll up and see if I missed it?
I don't think I saw anything. Hold on.
Raiders can still win the division? Oh, shit.
Yeah, they can actually, yeah.
Crazy.
That's right, Will.
Yep. I made it to the Final Four and fell short, less than 1 point. Yeah, I lost by 1.2 in the league, bro.
I have it here.
Fucking point. 3 to 5 for the chip. Awesome song. Go ahead.
Offered Fields and my own second for Deshaun and my 25 first.
Shit. How far up is it? Where the fuck is that at?
Right between Will and Huss at 10:45 p.m. So he was offered Fields and his own second.
Oh, my bad, Diaz. My bad. Offered Fields and his own second for Deshaun and the 25 first. So you had to give up the first, but it's a 2025. But then you say if you win, you can't trade, right? If you win, you can't trade after the rookie draft. But if you win 2 in a row, right, that's it. That's done. The Empire's done. So if you win 23 and 24, 25 don't even fucking matter, right? And that's what we're going for, right? Yeah, because you could use Fields, right? Because Deshaun is not, and you have Lamar, you said, right? Because Deshaun is not playing, so.
Yep.
I'll probably go for the gusto. I keep telling them that. Just go for the gusto. Because I just feel like the Empire is just a little bit different. It's not pure like Dynasty, so that's why
it could be a shorter window than what you think.
Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I don't think otherwise. I'm not giving up the first. And Deshaun, nah. That's a bit much. But if you're gonna go for it, then you have to go for it, right? I mean, fuck it. And you'll still have
Yeah.
Fields anyway.
I think Fields gives you some upside.
At least for maybe a season. Not bad. I don't know if he's going to retire. I don't know about all that. It's always possible, but drafted Puka in 2 leagues. Could set the rookie wide receiver catch record Waddle said 2 years ago. Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. Crazy, Puka. Puka, Gibbs, or Stroud, will you agree? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I mean,
Go to Puka or Stroud.
But I mean, yeah, Stroud has been he's been awesome. Puka has been fucking sick. I mean,
Ridiculous.
They're both setting records. Gibbs is awesome too, but I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be Gibbs.
No, I don't think Gibbs.
Puka breaks
Gibbs
the record.
Volume.
If Puka breaks the record, then maybe.
Yo, if CJ Stroud leads that Houston team to the playoffs,
yeah. I think that's the other part of it. If he leads them to the playoffs, then it's a wrap.
Then I think it's over. I agree.
Purdy and Nico off waivers early in the season. Now I'm in the ship in that league. Yeah, awesome.
That's how you get it in.
I'm in 2 of the redraft ships for the wafers. Both of the wafers leagues I'm in. I fucking made it to the ship. Purdy and Nico off waivers. Oh, yeah, we did that one. My bad. CMC not scoring the late TD cost me in 1 league, 1 shot. Yeah, I mean, Lamar throwing touchdowns cost me in a league too. So
be like that, bro.
Fuck, man. Antonio, we're gonna start getting into some of these droppable players here. In a minute, we'll answer the rest of the questions. Pierce deserves that Raiders head coach. You beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead with the QB that threw 1 pass. Yeah, bro, that was kind of crazy. Adams caught 1 ball. Yeah, give that man the job. Yeah, for sure. And like those guys like him. Like they want to play for him.
Say that.
So like he's that player's coach, right?
And he was a player, a pretty good one at that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he gets them going. I like him. I like him for that team too. And what do they do now? Quarterback.
I was talking about that. Because I think one of the questions was with somebody had brought up the stash guy from the Raiders. I forgot his name already.
Tucker.
The Tucker. So it'll be interesting to see what his stock is. If they and I have a Raiders guy we're going to talk about as well.
Puka got to win it. Do they vote before playoffs start? I don't know. When do they vote that? They probably do vote it before playoffs start, but by that point, I think we'll know.
Yeah,
if they're in the playoffs or not. So
listen, even up to this point, where he has them is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, fucking championship week. I've got 3 ships to play for, 2 redrafts and 1 dynasty. What's it gonna be?
You gonna keep rubbing it in, or I got
no, but I gotta decide who I'm gonna play in my super flex spot. So maybe you can help me out. Hold on.
Can we get to the questions? We'll talk about this later.
No, we're gonna talk about it now. We're gonna talk about it with everybody.
I don't want to talk about it.
Y'all can help me out here.
We have content to bring the people, not your personal fantasy.
Yes, this is part of content, guys. Right?
No,
what are we playing here?
It's not.
We're playing Mullins against. Yeah, we're playing Mullins against Green Bay, or we're playing Heineke against Chicago. We're playing Mullins because Deshaun Watson is out. I got no other. I'm not playing Zappy. So that's what it's going to be. All right, but I lost Hawkinson. Okay, I got no backup tight end on my bench because I'd be like
that's a tough one.
So who do I pick up? Hudson, Higbee, Oliver, Smythe, Elijah Higgins, Noah Fant.
Higbee's interesting,
right? Is it Higbee against the Giants?
I think it might be.
Oh, it's so gross.
Higbee's been...
No, it's not Hudson.
It's Higbee.
Or is it Smythe? What's he been up to? 5 catches last game. Okay. 4 catches the game before that. Okay. I mean, no, they're going against Baltimore, though.
It's Higbee, dude.
Might have to be Higbee. Sure. 4 leagues I was bounced were absolute juggernauts. Did get mutilated by injuries in the lineup. Pickens, Puka, Cooper, Cup. Amari hanging with bro. Amari went ham. I wish I was still in that dynasty because I'd be in the ship right now. I lost in the first round to a nice juggernaut. Yeah, bad luck just fucking happens, bro.
No, you just have to sit it, and it sucks when you're sitting there, and like if you're going up against an Amari Cooper last week, you're just sitting there, and every time they bring up the Browns on red zone, it's Amari Cooper doing something ridiculous.
You know what's crazy is he could have really went for more, like if that was a closer game.
Oh, what do you go for? 230? Jesus.
No, he could have went for 300. He went more. I think he did more than 230. Hold on. Where's he at?
I'm bringing him up. Amari Cooper went for 265. Jesus
bro.
11 grabs.
Oh, they were just playing catch out there. They were just warming
backyard.
Up. Just go deep, bro.
Bro, 24 yards a catch. 24 yards a catch.
You know what's crazy, though? You know what's crazy? Look at the week before, 27 yards a catch.
Yeah.
When he only caught 4 of 8. That was the difference.
Bro, but look at the last 3 weeks, right? 22. He's got 37 targets over the last 3 games.
Because Flacco slings that bitch.
You said it.
I just wish he threw it to Elijah Moore one more time last game. Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Let's get into some of these droppable players, some of these roster cloggers that you can get off of your squad. And before we get into the roster cloggers, I'll say again, what should we do with these players before we drop these players? Spam them out for thirds, spam them out for fourths, spam them out for any backup running back or QB maybe that you can possibly try and get before you drop these players. And if you can't get anything at that point, just drop them because they are just clogging up your roster that you can fill with some kind of quarterback, with some kind of running back, instead of this player that does not matter. And most of the guys are wide receivers. I think I might have a running back or 2 to talk about, but most of them are wide receivers or tight ends. Maybe I think I have a few as well that you can just drop. They're just useless on your roster. So Hammer, I'll let you drop one first. Who is a player that you think that we should just be dropping right now in Dynasty? A player that should not be on your squad is a roster clogger.
I got a couple of guys, and similar to you, I have them mixed in. I actually have a running back or 2, and normally we say, just hang on to those running backs, but there's certain situations where they're just useless. But the one guy I do have was actually pretty good last year. Went to a new team in the offseason. There was actually some pretty solid expectations for this guy, and he has turned out to be an absolute disaster for this particular team. Now, whether or not when his quarterback comes back, I'm still not feeling it. I'm going to go with one Allen Lazard.
Ooh.
And the reason why I say that is a couple of different reasons. Number one, obviously, Garrett Wilson's the true number one there. He's been pretty bad. We actually talked about what he should be doing that he hasn't been doing outside of his pass catching duties, right? Hasn't been blocking, right? A ton of penalties he's been called on. I've watched some of the Jets games where he's on the outside trying to block and he's holding or whatever the case may be. He could be a potential cap casualty, right? They don't have him signed for a crazy long contract, but they did give him some money. So I'm not sure what that is, but he seems like he could be one of those. Also, too, another reason why I say Allen Lazard is there's been some rumors that the Jets will try to acquire one Devontae Adams this offseason. Okay. I did like Alan Lazard coming into the season if Aaron Rodgers was playing, because I thought he could be at least a red zone threat. If he finished with 7 or 8 touchdowns as a red zone threat for Aaron Rodgers, I would have been pretty satisfied with that. And then also too, there's younger guys with upside, right? We talked about Xavier Gibson being a stash guy. If you haven't seen our stash video, and Xavier Gibson being a stash guy on the Jets. So might not be crazy popular, but Alan Lazard has just been absolutely useless this year. Now you could attribute most of that to the quarterback situation, and I'll totally hear that argument, and it's very legit and very valid, but I just don't see Alan Lazard being very valuable. I think there's other guys that could have some better value, better upside too. If you're talking about value, alone, not just the player, the value, there is absolutely no value in Alan Lazard.
Yeah, Alan Lazard is an interesting one because, like you said, you would think that maybe with Aaron Rodgers coming back next year, that maybe he is a little bit interesting as that, second guy there, unless they, of course, bring somebody in, whether draft or signing somebody, or like you said, maybe bringing in Devontae Adams. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, he's definitely not doing anything for you right now. So I'm okay with dropping him.
You can even, if you want to kind of splice it as well, you could go Randall Cobb. Like you could throw Randall Cobb in there as well. Like those two guys, like on the Jets roster. I think that's one of the guys that people may potentially hold on to because, they're hoping Aaron comes back. Randall Cobb probably won't be on that team next year, might retire. So if Randall Cobb is on your roster, you probably want to get him out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got?
All right, let's go to a player that I'm going to drop. And maybe it surprised some people, and maybe it won't, especially since there's an injury that happened to that wide receiver core. But I'm dropping John Mechie. I think for me, he's just a drop. I don't think there's any point to have him. I mean, maybe you just buy back in if that time ever comes, but there's a ton of wide receivers over there. They could possibly even bring in another one. Nico Collins and Tank Dell have pretty much established themselves, as the two main guys there. So for me, I'm ready to just move off of John Mechie. I don't think there's any point to have him really on your squad, but he is one of those names that people might, ring a bell, and you might be able to get slightly something for him. If you can, like we talked about, throw out a third out there, throw a fourth out there, or see if possibly you can. What was the other thing I was saying that you can do with him?
Add him on to a trade.
Yeah, you could always add. Yeah, you could always add him onto a trade as well. But worst comes to worst, you're just gonna drop him if you can't get absolutely anything. If again, a backup running back. Anything that can possibly gain some value. I don't know if there's a world where Mechie gains enough value for you to kind of have him on your team. I think he's clogging up your roster. We talk about roster construction and, running backs and quarterbacks, adding those guys on your bench instead of all these bunch of wide receivers that you're never going to play. They're never going to get into your lineup. They're literally just wasting a spot on your bench that you can try and find that next, Jerome Ford, that Kyron Williams, right? Those guys that
Zach
we're looking
Moss.
for. The Zach Mosses, right? Even if it's one game, the Demercados, like whatever it is, have that free spot on your roster.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And just to kind of further your point, like John Mechie actually had an opportunity because Nico Collins has missed a few games, Tank Dell's been out, and Noah Brown has slid into that kind of pick up the slack type of role. And you would have thought that John Mechie would have actually, had an opportunity to kind of, get some things done. Obviously, he was coming off the crazy battle with leukemia, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But so maybe he does need a year or two to kind of get back into the fold and, figure some things out. But yeah, not a ton of production, not on the field really a whole lot. And Noah Brown outshined him as the wide receiver 3 there.
Yeah, I mean, he's 7% rostered right now in dynasty leagues, it looks like, on Sleeper. But yeah, just time to move off. But all right, who else you got, Hammer? Give us another one, another guy that we can drop on our dynasty squads, a roster clogger.
This hurts me to say. This really hurts me because 2 years ago,
Okay.
this was my guy. This was really my guy. And I picked him up off the waivers and he helped solidify and take me to a dynasty championship in our home league in the very first season. Currently plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. That is one Hunter Renfrow. Now, the interesting thing about Hunter Renfrow is I think he's a good receiver, right? He was a kind of a late bloomer, really a one-hit wonder type deal when he had that, 1,000-yard season a couple of years ago, and he was just going crazy with Derek Carr, getting like, Wes Welker type, production. He was getting literally everything. But, when Devontae Adams came over, they picked up Jacoby Myers, and he is just absolutely phased out in Vegas. The one thing that I'm not sure about, and he is 28 now, so it's not like he's 25 or 24. Hunter Renfrow's 28 now. So as a bit of an older receiver, right? Not crazy fast, not crazy big, not crazy strong. So I don't know if there's a huge market for him. I'm sure he'll get picked up somewhere on a team, but currently Hunter Renfrow does not need to be on your roster.
No, I agree. I don't know if there's a world where he becomes relevant again. And if he does, then, he's a guy that you can just pick up. But there's not a reason why you need to kind of roster him at the moment. I mean, hit that like button. What up, Bayou?
And I think for guys like me, right, that picked up Hunter Renfrow and he paid big dividends a couple of years ago, you held on to him probably a little bit longer than you should because he did well for you, right? So it's hard for, you to kind of part with those guys that maybe you did pick up off the waiver wire that are just absolutely doing nothing. And that was really hard because he was a big part of the reason why I went to a championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially nowadays in Dynasty, I mean, we love wide receivers. Everybody loves wide receivers, but there's some guys that you need to just get rid of them. Get rid of that dead weight. Another guy that's 7% rostered actually in leagues is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Get rid of Donovan Peoples-Jones. There's no point to have him on your team. Again, it's just another roster clogger wide receiver on the Lions. I mean, he's not doing anything over there. J-Mo is back now. I mean, there's really just no sense to have him in one target, one catch in the last few games. I think he's ready to just be off and on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I haven't heard Donovan Peoples-Jones' name get called at all.
No.
At all.
And these are guys that are being rostered, and these are our deep leagues. I mean, need to move off them. All right, Hammer. You got another one? You got another one? Who else do we have here?
I have a really good one actually, and this guy plays for a team that they throw the ball a good amount. Okay. They have an all-pro receiver and a potential rookie of the year receiver. And this guy played really well in the first half of the season. He was probably rostered a ton. And his last 4 games, he's played 36%, 39%, 12%, and 6% of the snaps. Before that, he was playing in the high 70s, 80s, 90% snaps. Tutu Atwell. Demarcus Robinson has come in there and just absolutely put Tutu Atwell on the bench. Okay. And it was just like I saw Demarcus Robinson go out there and catch a few passes. I'm like, when the fuck did Demarcus Robinson get on the Rams? I thought Tutu was going to slide in there as that third, kind of deep threat guy. And listen, Tutu Atwell played really well in Cooper Kupp's absence. In the first 4 weeks, he had 8 targets, 9 targets, 9 targets, and 9 targets. And he had 2 touchdowns in his first 4 games. So he was a really good pickup early in the season. And obviously Cooper Kupp came back. They signed Demarcus Robinson, and the rest, as they say, is history. Tutu Atwell should not be on your roster anymore.
No, I agree. I like it. I don't think he's involved in the offense anymore. Like you said, Demarcus Robinson has kind of emerged. So he's kind of been pushed down to the bottom. And I think even next year, I don't think there's a way that he kind of becomes relevant again, especially with a healthy Puka, a healthy Cup. I mean, I don't see like a path to where he can kind of gain some value. Another guy that I think, and let me go to the running back position, because this guy is actually rostered in 20% of leagues, but he's doing absolutely nothing. He's doing nothing. He backs up a Pro Bowl running back, but it does not matter. And his name is Jamal Williams.
Okay.
Droppable. You can drop him. There's no reason to have him. It doesn't matter if Kamara's playing or he's not playing. Doesn't matter if Jamal Williams is the main guy. He's not scoring fantasy points. He's not scoring touchdowns. He's not doing anything. So you can drop Jamal Williams.
I like it.
Who else you got, Hammer?
I'll throw a running back out there, and this is another guy that I absolutely loved some time ago. We talked about him, actually talked about somebody that leapfrogged him as a running back stash. And the reason why I think this guy is droppable now is because that guy leapfrogged him. And it doesn't really matter because this guy as well is third on the depth chart to an all-pro running back, obviously an all-world running back. That is one Elijah Mitchell. Just absolutely injury prone, right? A couple of years ago, he was a waiver wire, god.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought he was going to kind of be that main guy. They trade for CMC. And we even thought like, hey, both of these guys could coexist, right? Like Elijah Mitchell could be that between the tackles guy. He could be the goal line back. If he gets 120 carries on the season, kind of in between the tackles, that could preserve Christian McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell has not played more than 34% of the snaps in any single game. He's finished with negative fantasy points in more than one game as a running back. Pretty bad. Elijah Mitchell, no thank you. Injured all the time as well.
Yeah. He's not on the Niners next year, is he? Or is he still under contract?
This is his third year now. I don't know what his contract situation looks like. And, he's 25 as a running back. That's starting to kind of...
I think he's got one more year, right?
Starting to get into that 25, 26 age territory.
Yeah, he's got one more year.
But they have Jordan Mason, who's gotten some burn.
And Jordan Mason did overtake him. So, there's a chance that they even draft somebody too. I don't know if do they still have faith in even Mitchell? I mean, if Mason jumped in front of him. So, yeah, maybe, he is a guy that can be droppable. But on the flip side of that, can you say if your league is deep enough, he's one of those running backs that maybe you do want to stash in a deep league? I me's I've got some hustle leagues where we've got, the bench is fucking just nuts, the amount of guys that we can hold. So there's no, like on waivers, like there's not much that is out there. Elijah Mitchell would be a guy that I'd probably stash in that particular league, but for the most part, yeah, I agree with you. Elijah Mitchell is pretty much droppable at this point.
Yeah, and this is always obviously predicated on how deep your league is, right? If there's 14 teams with, 20 bench spots, then all right, maybe there is space there. But just from a standard standpoint, right? 10, 12 teams,
Sure.
14, 15 bench spots, he doesn't make the cut, man. He's not doing anything. You're never going to play Elijah Mitchell at this point, right? So from that standpoint, and he's going into his age 26 season next year, 2024. Before next season starts, he will be 26 years old. As a running back. That's never good.
For sure. Earlier in the show, somebody had asked a question, which was actually one of the guys that I said was pretty much droppable, was Rashard Bateman. If you can get something for him, get something for him. But otherwise, he's just he's a waste being there now at this point. Is there any hope for Rashard Bateman to ever try and rebound, or is he just a roster clogger at this point? He's at the bottom of your bench. Can you use something else there?
Could be. Could be.
So he's still rostered in 17% of leagues. Another guy that should not be rostered, and hopefully he's not, but Chase Claypool.
I actually was thinking about Chase Claypool as well. I actually had him written down, and I was like, maybe I could see that. Yeah, I actually 1000% agree with that. I actually looked at him very, very closely and was going to write him down on my list. But yeah,
and Chase Claypool, I'd put him in another, like in a category with MVS, right? Van Scantling, droppable. Mecole Hardman, droppable. Don't waste the bench spot on these guys. Just drop these guys. Again, send out the third, send out the fourth, send out the trades for the backup running backs. Otherwise, you're dropping these guys. There's no point to have these guys on your team.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with that. That's Chase Claypool's a really, really good hit. Another guy potentially plays on the Houston Texans as well. Robert Woods, 62% roster. Like we know who the guys are there. Now, with Tank Dell out, you would think that Robert Woods, and he played pretty well earlier on in the season before Tank Dell kind of exploded. But Robert Woods, right? Noah Brown is the guy that is filling in and making those plays. So I think Robert Woods is also pretty dry. He's playing 81% of the snaps the last 2 weeks, which is interesting.
Are you looking on the phone? Why is my roster percentage different from what you're saying?
I see Robert Woods roster percent 64.2.
Are you on a Dynasty league?
Yeah, I'm in the subscriber league.
What the fuck?
What does yours say?
Hold on. Mine says 13% rostered.
I'm looking at it right now, 64.2.
You said you're on the phone or the computer?
I'm on my wife actually got me an iPad, which is amazing. So now I have a nice
fucking fancy.
I have a really nice setup here while I'm on the show. Because I have my laptop and then I have an iPad now with all my.
Then these guys are probably rostered in even more leagues if my shit is.
Who did you? What's Claypool? Let me check Claypool. What do you see with Claypool?
Oh yeah, mine says yeah, it does say 65 on here. What the fuck? Yeah, what's Claypool's? Okay, because Mechie's 71% rostered. Why is it different on the? Oh man, they need to fix this desktop version because that's trash. Peoples Jones 55% rostered.
See, I can only see the guys that are not available or that are available, which is interesting.
Bateman 82% rostered. I wonder what Jamal Williams.
So what did Claypool say for you?
Hold on. Jamal Williams 74% rostered. Claypool 47% rostered.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
I got Claypool at 47.
These guys are droppable.
Elijah Mitchell, 79%. But I understand that, as a running back, and we talked about it. Listen, we understand running backs,
Yeah, that's the only thing is that a lot. And Diaz says that here's what if he signs with Miami, scores over 20 TDs. I guess they'd have to cut him. They'd have to cut him to do that, right? Because he's still under contract for 2024. So if they cut him or trade for him, but I can for sure see it. The only problem is Elijah Mitchell is probably going to be like a game or two. I mean, the way that he's always been, but
and gets hurt every game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, like I said, like I'm okay with rostering a Mitchell in deep leagues. Aaron Jones or Monty, Jay said.
Vikings Packers, big fucking game this week. It's New Year's Eve, 8:00. Be there.
We're playing Monty.
I think I'm playing Monty as well. Aaron Jones, man, interesting. Had the bounce back game. Played well.
Yeah. You know who else? I'm dropping?
What was that?
Greg Dortch.
Okay.
Dropping Greg Dortch. He's really is just kind of that one of those waiver wire plays. Always. You always can find that dude on the waiver wire. Like he rostered in 49% of leagues, but in most of like the dynasty and in most of the dynasty leagues, like he's available.
He's had some decent games over the last
Every once in a while he becomes a guy that you can start, but he's not a guy that you really want to hold on your bench, you know?
No. He has played. He has been like the snap percentage is pretty damn good, like 65 to 80% over the last 5 games. Snap percentage, pretty good. 8 targets, 9 targets in weeks 11 and 12. A couple of touchdowns over the last month. But you're not at this point, like you can't. You're not starting Greg Dortch in mainly any situation. So I agree with that for the most part.
For sure. I got a tight end we can drop.
Okay. I think I have one too. Go ahead.
A tight end that we can drop. No point to have this guy on the roster anymore. The rookie has overtaken him at this point. Dawson Knox.
Ooh,
you can drop Dawson Knox. I don't think there's any reason to have Dawson Knox on the squad. You know, does Kincaid get injured and miss a few games maybe at some point in time? Maybe, but even still, what's Dawson Knox other than any other kind of tight end you can pick up, right?
What's his roster percentage?
He's actually rostered in 70% of leagues.
Yep.
But yeah.
I have a tight end. And I'll state the caveat that this guy is a free agent currently, but he is a name that people know. And it depends on where he goes, right? But you can't really count on that with all the other at least halfway decent tight ends we have around the league. That's Zach Ertz, 56% rostered. Not currently on a team. And you know, there's some halfway decent options. And I think people roster guys like that because they have a name, right? We know Zach Ertz, he's been pretty productive, but he is 33, right? So he's getting up there in age. And I believe he got released. When did he get released? Jesus. He got unclaimed on waivers about a month ago, right? Nobody's picked him up. Could the Vikings use a Zach Ertz?
Yeah, maybe for the first half of the season next year, possibly.
So that would change it. But Zach Ertz currently, you know, maybe I don't want to waste a roster spot on a tight end that is a name, but he's not on a team, and he should be available. 56% of leagues rostered. Zach Ertz.
For sure. There's another guy that's rostered in 80% of leagues, a wide receiver that I particularly really, really did like. But at this point, I mean, we can take the L. I mean, we've got to take the L at this point. Sky Moore. Just droppable. Droppable at this point. I mean, he did not get the slot role like we thought that he was going to. And he just is nothing at this point. You can't get anything for him. Nobody wants him. So unless there's an injury to like Rashid Rice and Sky Moore has a possible chance to step up, I mean, I don't know, but I'm done. And he's got to go.
You know what's crazy about that is that never in my wildest dreams did I think we would be talking about dropping Kansas City wide receivers.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
because the next guy is Kadarius Toney. Throw Kadarius Toney in there.
Kadarius Toney. Nobody's gonna want him. Again, throw a thirds, throw a fourth, but he's another guy that you can probably just almost drop at this point because nobody wants him. You can't get anything for the dude. Nobody would even take him as a throw-in.
Wild, absolutely wild.
So yeah, for sure, he is another guy that we can definitely drop. How about Dalvin Cook?
Dude, I have Dalvin Cook written down. I wasn't sure. I thought that was going to be stupid. I literally, I don't know if you could see
Not
this.
stupid. Dalvin Cook is now like Lenny Fournette. I mean, he's not going to get a.
I don't know if you could see it.
It's a little blurry. Yeah, I can't really see it.
Dalvin Cook is on there. I thought it was going to be a little dumb because, it's a running back, but I have Dalvin Cook on here as well. And just really quick, I'll let you run off, but I put that he lost his current backup role, right, to your boy Izzy. It looks like his skills are diminishing a little bit. He's only averaging 3.2. Now, is that because the Jets' offensive line is terrible? Possibly. He's a 28-year-old running back. That says enough for itself. And his future is uncertain. Right? He could be next year, he could be Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think that the writing is on the wall. That's it. He's done. Nobody's going to pay for him. He's just going to be one of those running backs that's going to be waiting for a bunch of injuries to happen, and then maybe he gets signed to a practice squad, but I don't know.
3 years ago, he was a first-round running back. That's insane.
So yeah, I mean, I think he's droppable. Another backup running back that we thought could possibly try and get some snaps, can possibly get a role, can possibly try and take over, because they always were looking for a guy that can run in between the tackles. Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah.
I'm done. We talk about trying to have these backup running backs, but this guy's just not good at this point. Joshua Kelly, like, they're just not good. They're not good.
I was going to mention Joshua Kelly just to kind of irritate you a little bit today.
No, they're just not good. It doesn't matter like when they get the opportunity. They're just not good. So I don't think the next running back for the Chargers is on that squad right now.
Really good point.
So I think that they'll be looking for that. Dotson was kind of an interesting guy.
Elijah
Dotson? What's his name? Elijah Dotson.
Okay.
He had like a good kind of preseason game, but I mean, I don't even think he's the guy either. So I don't know what that Chargers offense is going to do just in general, but they need to do something. Who else you got?
That's it.
Anybody else?
That's all I got. I'm sure there's more, but just some guys that, I thought were pretty ass.
You could Devontae Parker, if he's out there, you could drop him too. There's another guy that I had on my list, but then he had like a really good last game. But he's still on the list. I'm still cutting his ass. DJ Shark.
Okay. Yeah.
Hasn't done anything. Just hasn't done anything. He's just one of those droppable guys. I mean, he had a 6 for 98 last game on 8 targets, 2 tutties, but that was against the Packers. So
I feel that.
But
that
yeah,
was against the Packers.
he is another kind of one of those droppable guys. Just one of those kind of waiver dudes. CEH to the moon? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's nobody else. Nobody else, right? But yeah, I think that wraps it up for at least the roster cloggers. Some guys that you can just kind of drop, get off of your squad. They're just costing you a roster spot that you can use for something else. Something that can actually give you some value. Because you plugging in MVS into your lineup when you've got a bunch of injuries,
just asking for trouble.
Not doing anything.
Asking for trouble.
It's not doing anything.
Oh boy. Yeah, to your point, Isaiah Spiller, 58% rostered. It's a good one.
Yeah, and what's his let's look at his stats. Let's look at this bum real quick.
Oh, here we go.
2022, he had 18 carries for 41 yards, which is 2.28 yards per carry.
It's bad. It's
Trash. Then you want to talk about this year in 2023, 36 for 97 for a measly 2.69. So slight increase. So looking a little bit better. Got a chance to do something against a shit Vegas defense that, to be fair, have played a lot better lately. But 16 for 50 for 3.13 a tug. I mean, it's just not happening.
That's funny, dude.
It's just not happening. They've been swinging and missing on running backs for years. Like,
since LT retired. I mean, Austin Eckler is pretty awesome.
Well, other than
his
Eckler,
time is up.
But even still, Eckler always was like, he needed that running mate. Like, he wanted that. He always wanted that other guy to, that they can give carries to. I mean, he doesn't need 20 plus totes a game. No, he gets his touches in, in other ways. But guys, let us know. Are there certain guys out there that you guys think are droppable players that maybe we didn't say? And I'm sure there's a bunch more. I mean, these are just guys that I kind of just thought of in the last 2 hours or so of trying to figure out who were some of the drops. But yeah, are there any guys that you guys are dropping for sure? And do you agree with some of these guys, or maybe you disagree? I mean, I know Diaz disagrees with Elijah Mitchell. I'm a little bit on the fence with that one too, but it's fair to say. It just depends how you want to look at it. Being that he is going to be on the roster for 2024, I mean, that's the part that I don't know. I think he'd have to be cut.
I got a decent one
in order to go to Miami. You got another one?
Yeah, actually, I got a decent one that's currently on my roster. He's a running back. Damian Harris. He's on IR. Are we dropping Damian Harris?
That's an interesting one. I don't think so, actually. I don't think so. He's one of those guys that everybody's forgotten about right now.
Currently on IR.
Yeah, and is he a free agent next season? I mean, who's to say he doesn't sign with some team next season? What about the fucking Chargers or something?
Yeah, and the one thing I will say to give credence to what you guys are saying about about the guys like Elijah Mitchell. Listen, I have Elijah Mitchell on a team or two, but it really depends on your roster construction. We have these, especially if you're playing in IDP as well. Like our home Dynasty league is an IDP league. Now you don't want to roster, too many defensive players, but it shortens your bench a little bit. So like Devin Singletary, right? Maybe at some point we would have probably been like, yo, drop Devin Singletary. And now he's been balling out the last couple of weeks. So, just to kind of look at it from, a devil's advocate perspective, I can understand the Eli Mitchell thing. It was just more of he's the third running back now behind CMC. If Jordan Mason can overtake him, what does that really say about how San Francisco feels about him?
No, for sure.
But he could, like Diaz said, he could end up in Miami or something like that. But Elijah Mitchell really pissed me off.
Kelly said Blackshear, yeah, for sure. You could drop Blackshear. Trash. You don't need anything with Blackshear there. Terrace Marshall. I mean,
he's holding on.
Yeah, he's been on the fence for a while.
I could see that.
Things just haven't been great there, but he has been coach's decisions inactive against the Packers. So yeah, he's straight inactive. So
yeah, that's never.
Yeah, at this point, we're what, 3 years in to Terrace Marshall, and we've got absolutely nothing to go on. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing. So he's another droppable guy.
I was actually thinking about Mingo. Never mind. So yes, drop Terrace Marshall. I was thinking about Mingo that they have over there.
Terrace Marshall for sure. Made it to the ship, fella. That's what I'm talking about, Simp. Good shit, my man. With Waddle down, looks like I may have to rely on Ridley this week. Lineup is Fields, CD, Ridley, Gibbs, Cook, Laporta, Bijan, Connor. Okay, that looks good. Well, who's on your bench that?
He just went to it. He has it down there.
Oh,
he's got London, Palmer, Monty, Browning.
I
think Monty could be interesting if
who they're playing.
Lions are playing at Dallas. Monty's going to give you a safe floor. Like, regardless, he's going to give you 10 to 15 points. If he gets a touchdown, then he's probably looking on the high end of that side, so 15. But Monty's going to give you a really solid floor, regardless. He's not going to give you the upside of Ridley, clearly, but he's going to give you a much safer floor than Ridley. That's for damn sure.
Who's Ridley playing?
Jags. Jags are playing Carolina. So that seems like a good matchup.
Carolina. Yeah,
that's a really good matchup.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just roll Ridley and could roll Ridley and let it happen, or you can try and play Monty. So if you want the upside, go with Ridley. If you want to play it safe, then go with Monty.
Would you play Monty over James Cook?
No.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying you should do that. Just throwing it out there. That's all.
No, I think Cook has got some good upside too, and he's got some pass catching. Now, yes, he kind of laid the dud last game, but to be fair, I mean, I don't think anybody did much of anything last game against the Chargers. I mean, and wow, I mean, pull up Josh Allen really quick.
Yeah, we know he's awesome.
No, but I'm saying if you look at the pass attempts the last 2 games, right, and you could kind of maybe look at this in Diggs as a good light, because as we talked about, he could be a good buy right now if you can get your hands on him for a contending team. But
36 in the last 2 games. Josh
Allen threw only 21 and 15 passes the last 2 games.
And that isn't exactly correlating to him running it, because he's only had 13 rushing attempts, right? If he's only thrown it that much, you'd think his rushing attempts would be a little bit higher. So that's a fair. And they are playing New England, so can I see him throwing it only 25 times? Possibly.
Yeah. Will Jordan Love be the starter next year for the Packers?
Oh, without a doubt. He's already signed. They already signed him to the 1 year, extension. They didn't pick up his rookie option, which I thought was really interesting. Instead, they signed him to a 1 year deal. And based on how Jordan Love has played throughout the totality of the season, absolutely. I don't think there's a single question about it. You've seen this team kind of grow. He's got 30 touchdowns. 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3-0 with 2 games to go. He could finish the season with 35 touchdowns, 36 touchdowns. Yes, he will be the starter next year and potentially the foreseeable future. There's a lot to be determined. I get it. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he is definitely safe for next year. I mean, they don't have a bottom pick where they're going to be able to get one of these top quarterbacks. So,
and I don't think they should get a top quarterback. I think he's good.
They've already made the commitment by giving him that extra year. So I think they're just going to give him that extra year now at this point. At least he's got 1 more year to prove himself. So does it fumble apart next year, or does he take a step up, and is he that guy? So I think he has a chance. Now, Sam Howell, on the other hand, who we thought was going to be safe because we thought that they weren't going to have a top pick, went the other way around, and he totally shit the bed now.
He got benched.
They're now what, pick 3, I think, right now. So this is a whole different conversation now about Sam Howell. So and we talk about how dangerous it is spending that first round pick and fucking betting on these guys, because if you miss, you're fucked. And now you just lost a first round pick and your boy's getting benched. For all the Sam Howell lovers on there. Not only that, Brissett comes in the game, and this offense looks like a fucking professional offense marching down the fucking field.
But is it? I don't know. I don't watch a ton of Commanders games. I don't have a ton of Commanders players on any of my fantasy teams. But obviously we knew, like, Sam Howell, a month and a half ago was QB 4, 5, something like that.
No. He wasn't necessarily marching the whole
team
downfield per se, but Jacoby Brissett, as you saw, ran like an NFL offense. He hit his guys underneath. He made the right play. You don't have to hit a home run every time. You don't have to score points every time, but get a good field position, right? And make the right play. And you saw Brissett just getting rid of the ball, making the right play, not taking the sacks, where that's where you see Sam Howell struggle, is where he takes those damn sacks or he holds the ball too long. Jacoby's getting it out.
That was crazy how far, because he was airing it out, throwing it all over the lot early in the season. And the turnover started happening. And it was like, God damn. That's wild. Yeah, he's Jekyll and Hyde, right? He can go out there and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, or he could go out there and throw for 170 yards and 4 interceptions.
Like that's the problem, is that he wasn't able to get shit done. They start losing by a ton, and then he's got to throw a ton. It wasn't him running the offense and getting that production and throwing for that amount of yards. It wasn't him conducting the offense necessarily that way. They were down in a lot of games and just they had to throw a fucking ton, and the fact that Terry McLaurin and Dotson are nowhere to be found anywhere, and they're like wide receiver 3s or 5s, like that's bullshit. It's fucked. So they're most likely going to get a quarterback, and we talked about a new regime coming in, right? New staff.
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic point. Yep.
They're most likely not going to want to bet their fucking jobs on Sam Howell after what we, what we're seeing for the whole season. You got to take, if you can get one of these top QBs, you have to take one of these top QBs. And I know Commanders fans, hate it, and they love them some Sam Howell, but he's not it.
Feel
he's
that.
Not it.
And what was Sam Howell, a 4th round pick, something like that? So
Howell, I think, was he a 5th? I'll look him up real quick.
Current teams.
Maybe he was a 3rd. No, he was a 5th. He was a 5th. Yeah, I was right.
5th round pick.
501. 5th round pick.
So there's very little, and all those factors we talked about, right, go into it. New regime, right? Not a high draft pick. So there's going to be, it's not going to be as long of a leash as you will with a guy like Baker Mayfield, right? How many chances has Baker Mayfield got because he was the number 1 overall pick, as opposed to a guy like a Sam Howell?
Yeah. You could argue Trevor Lawrence a little bit of that matter, but he hasn't been as bad. As in, like, Trevor Lawrence ain't look great his first year, and he ain't look great this year. But he's still thought of as one of those top QBs.
I think Trevor Lawrence is another one of those kind of buy low-ish, disappointing type guys that you threw in there earlier. And but that's the same point I made about Baker Mayfield, where Trevor Lawrence was the 101. He's gonna have plenty of opportunities to go out there, as opposed to a guy like a Sam Howell, who's a 5th round pick with a new regime coming, all those different factors. So there's multiple layers to, why guys have short leashes, don't get very many, opportunities once their first one is passed. So
yeah,
crazy.
And guys, what do we think about Purdy? What do we think about Purdy last game? Wind up coming out of that game from a supposed stinger
injury
per se. What'd you think about Purdy's performance and him kind of getting pulled from that game?
So to be fair, yesterday was my wife's birthday. So I didn't really get to watch a ton of that game like I would normally during any week. We had some family over, etc. But I was checking the stats and peeking in, and I saw Purdy with 4 interceptions. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So definitely very surprising. But I think Purdy has enough equity built up over obviously last season, and how much, how well he's played this season. I think Purdy has enough equity built up that I don't think it affects his standing within the organization, right? And listen, San Francisco is a stable organization from a GM and head coach standpoint, so I think they feel pretty good with Purdy, and I think Purdy will play well going forward. But it was really surprising to see that, and that's the thing, right? Since Purdy is a 7th round pick, the minute he has a shitty game, they're like, "Oh, see, Purdy sucks. Get him out of there. We told you he's a 7th round." Like, how quick are we?
No, but I think I think what we did see is, again, just like those other 3 games where they had to more rely on Purdy
Lean
and
on
score
him.
because they
Yeah,
didn't have the lead
I agree.
and they weren't coming from, and they
That's the
weren't
book.
ahead. They had to come from behind is where like shit is just hitting the fan now. Now, I don't know. I have to look more at the tape, but were they playing a little more man coverage? Like, cause it looked like Purdy just was not seeing shit right.
I saw
And then
some
he
of the
wound up
overthrows. Yeah,
then he
for
wound up getting
interception.
hit, and he was slow to get up. They took him out of the game. He went into the tent. They called it a stinger. There was no specific injury. They just said a stinger. And they wound up putting Sam Darnold in. And then you see Sam Darnold go and make a couple throws, and you're like, hey, fuck, just, Sam Darnold's okay. He wound up throwing for a touchdown and an interception at the end, the last play of the game or whatever. But didn't look that bad. But yeah, I felt like Purdy should have been back out there. I almost feel like they were protecting him from doing
I
work
agree.
and throwing more intos and not looking good. Like they had to protect him. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, that's not, you don't MVP. You don't do that to an MVP. MVP is going back out there trying to get this team to win. Now, I don't know exactly what the stinger was. If somebody has more information on that, then let me know. But he didn't look bad. He didn't get hit hard. He didn't go down crazy hard. It wasn't anything crazy. But I thought that was interesting that he wound up not going back out there. They didn't put him back out there after throwing the four picks. Now, can you say the game was out of reach? I mean, not necessarily.
No, but
I guess we
like
could
you
make
said,
that argument, but I don't
well,
know. I didn't
based
particularly like it.
based on the information, it said he had his helmet on. He was ready to play. So I think what you're saying is true, where they didn't want to put him in harm's way, right? Down, forcing him to do, maybe they didn't want to expose him. I don't know. I think Purdy is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. Did they want to expose him?
He's going to have more good games than games like this for sure, with the way that offense is, with the defense, right? But every once in a while, but this is what they're trying to do, is get over that hump, right? Get over that edge, right? Once you get into the playoffs, shit is different when you're playing a defense like the Ravens. I mean,
yeah, that was interesting to see, or have. When I read on it, I was like, what the fuck? And then I saw Sam Darnold come in and throw an interception as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had came out of the game even at first. I was like, wait, what the fuck? But yeah, guys, let us know what you think about Purdy there, and what happened. And I don't think that affects. I mean, obviously the MVP, that most likely that affects that, but I don't think that affects anything as far as his, his value or what people think of him. I mean, he's still going to be the starting quarterback, so I'm not worried about it in that particular matter. He's still 2 for 255. Tyrod Taylor looked good. He should have never lost a starting job. I mean, he's always looks good, Tyrod Taylor. He never looks like horrible. He plays pretty decently well for any team that he winds up being the quarterback for. He's a very conservative guy. He's not taking a ton of chances. He's not doing a bunch of crazy things, but he's smart. He's a veteran. He's trying to, move field position, get the ball downfield. I mean, I like Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I do too. And I saw something that said Tyrod Taylor has the unluckiest career for a quarterback that you kind of know, right? Buffalo.
Well, they jigged him up. They jigged him up on the Chargers.
Yeah. Did he play for the Browns a little bit, I believe?
Well, yeah, he had that injury, and they punctured his lung.
In the Chargers, with the Chargers. That's when Herbert came in. Yeah, it's crazy.
Jacoby Brissett, yeah. How about Mason Rudolph getting the start, my boy? Bro, they said it even in the preseason that he looked good, and they wound up, obviously they went with Pickett, but he looked fucking better than Pickett. And Trubisky's, on the other hand, Trubisky's is a straight
could be the end of Trubisky as we know it.
Yeah, man.
Trubisky's another guy that's gotten, because he was such a high draft pick, right? He's gotten some opportunities to play, and not good at all.
I'm with you, Carl. I'm with you. But no, I mean, it is his first full year, but he's not reading defenses. He's taking sacks. I mean, he's not getting rid of the ball. When you see a veteran come in and kind of just like it just looks more like a real professional like offense. Like that kind of shows you a little bit of something. I trade McLaurin. I mean, you might as well. It's not like you use. It's not like Howell uses him anyway.
What's
I
crazy
mean,
about that is, remember before Terry McLaurin signed that extension, he was one of the guys we were like, yo, Terry McLaurin, now's your opportunity to go to like Green Bay when they still had Aaron, or, one of those teams where they could use a really good professional wide receiver. And Terry McLaurin's awesome. Like, I think he's fantastic. He'd be amazing in Kansas City.
So you got McLaurin, you got Dotson. They got to fix up the defense. I mean, they've got some good offensive players. They got to fix up the O-line a little bit. Yeah,
but away the defensive guys.
Yeah, I know, but I know they got some picks. I don't know exactly what they're doing here, but
they have a new ownership as well. So, like you said, it's going to be a complete regime change.
I don't think Howell's fine, Carl. I don't think Howell's fine. I think he's on the panic. You got to hit the panic button on Howell right now. I don't. He's not safe. He's not safe. Just like Ritter wasn't. We try to tell y'all in the beginning of the season, like over time, like when you start playing a bunch of games, like, yeah, you might show something the first few games, but over time it's going to start to come out. Like
because this
is why those guys are not first or second round picks. There's a reason why teams are not out there spending capital on these guys. They're all good. Don't get me wrong. They made it to the NFL. Of course, they're good. Just not good enough to
relative to their contemporaries. Yeah.
I mean, look, Jacoby Brissett is fucking awesome. Like, but he's not like necessarily a starting quarterback you want to lean on, but he's an awesome veteran to have that can come in and still run the offense and still give you a chance to win, right?
For sure.
I have McBride. Is he a good start? Yeah, McBride's fucking awesome. Awesome, right?
Hell yeah.
No, I'm not playing. I'd rather play McBride than Goddard.
Yeah, go McBride.
For sure.
I agree.
4:20 a.m. Niners were going to have to score 2 field goals, get 2 2-point conversions and a field goal in 6 minutes. Doubt they were going to come back. You want to risk hurting him in a meaningless drive and losing him in the playoffs. Like I said, it's a fair argument if you want to coddle him like a baby. Well, but he's supposed to be he's supposed to be the MVP. I mean,
but is part of that because of what happened to San Francisco last year, where they were down to virtually no quarterback by the time the NFC Championship game rolled around?
That's what I'm saying. You can make that argument. Can make that argument. I mean, they lost 33-19. I mean, Sam Darnold went right down, scored the tutty. But like I said, there's a million ways that you can slice it. I just felt like they were protecting him. I thought him getting injured and what they said as a stinger, I think that was just a BS cover up. That's what I didn't like about it. If you're going to take him out, just fucking take him out and say, okay, yeah, we didn't want to risk it. We were down by too much. We didn't think that we could make the comeback, so we took him out.
But
fair enough. Fair enough. That's fine. If that's what it is.
Maybe they didn't want to dive into that, that end of it.
How do you feel about Deneric Prince? I mean, he's a decent stash. I mean, but stash him on your taxi. I mean, but he hasn't came up. We've got injuries to everybody now. Only CEH is back there, and he's still not a guy. So I don't know. I'm not feeling as confident in Deneric Prince anymore. But you never know. We'll see what happens next season. You know, need a defense for the championship match: Chiefs versus Bengals, Rams at Giants. The Chiefs have been awesome.
Yeah, I think I'd go Chiefs here.
Probably gonna go Chiefs. They've been good all season. I think you can feel pretty safe with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree.
Not that the Rams aren't a good matchup either, but I think just for like season long, the Chiefs have been a pretty good defense. So, you know, Howell was 22 when the season started. Give him a fucking chance. Geez, you want to pass up Fashano for a QB? Yeah, it doesn't matter that he's just 22. It just doesn't matter. It's a new, you know, unfortunately, listen, as a player, like, yeah, he made it to the NFL. He's a good player. But when we're talking fantasy, we're talking dynasty, we're talking NFL wise. I mean, you're talking about a new coach coming in there. Why should a new coach risk his job for Sam Howell, who, when you're looking at the tape, can see all the deficiencies and all the things that make him not a guy that you want to try and build your team around? And you've got a chance to get a top quarterback right now coming out of college. When is the next time that you're going to have a top 5 pick to be able to get one of these quarterbacks? You know, because sure, Sam Howell can be mediocre. You can be 8-8, 7-9, whatever it is. I'm sure he can be that, but he's not going to be the guy for the next coach or the new regime that is coming in. They're not going to want to bet everything on Sam Howell. No, you take one of these guys that are coming out and you bet it all on that. Right. It didn't work for Rivera.
Just to further your point, they're currently sitting in the 3 spot, right? With a chance to move up. Maybe I don't know if they'll move up.
Get in Caleb or Drake May, like unless somebody moves up, unless Chicago gets out of that pick, right? Do they move back, or do they just take Marvin Harrison at number 1 and they keep Justin Fields, or are they taking Caleb? And then who's got 2? The Cardinals, right? They go probably Marvin. Who's got 2?
Arizona.
Yeah. They go Marvin, and then boom, you get Drake May. You're not taking Drake May if he's there at 3.
Listen, there's a ton of factors that go into it, and we've seen this with quarterbacks before, right? Like what? So San Francisco got rid of Trey Lance after 5 minutes. You know, I mean, obviously that was a little bit of a different situation. He got hurt, but people move on from quarterbacks, especially, and the Trey Lance thing was really interesting. But there's no capital invested in Sam Howell. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback, but
me neither.
But like you said, there's so many other layers to it. New regime, right? They're gonna have a top 3 pick. And he's a 5th round pick. Like those are all factors.
It matters. There's not many 5th round picks out there that are like, you know, for sure starting quarterbacks out there that are in the top, you know, they're just not. Unfortunately, he's just a replaceable guy. 420 AM radio is getting upset too. You must be a Commander fan too. It does matter, you pothead. Bro, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, bro. Listen, it's not us. This is history we're going after. If you want to make the bet on Sam Howell, go ahead. But he's already been pulled twice for a veteran quarterback that has looked way better in the short time that he's been there. And again, it's a different coaching staff that's going to be there. It's not the same coaching staff that's going to be there. So what's the chances those guys are going to risk their job for a 5th round quarterback that they just saw play a whole season and be the most sacked quarterback? Like, I mean,
listen, if teams move,
they're gonna get somebody. They've got a top 3 pick. There's no way you don't take a quarterback when you have a chance to have a franchise quarterback on a top 3 pick, the guy that's coming out. I mean, and it's not only that. We talk about also, right, the money that they're going to make from drafting one of these top guys, the money they're going to make off of the marketing, the fans that they're going to put in the stands. I mean, it's even more than just than Sam Howell himself.
That's fair. And I said there's many layers, and I think that I don't think Sam Howell's terrible, but are you building your franchise around Sam Howell? Probably not. Right. So there's many layers that we talked about. We're not just shitting on Sam Howell. We're just looking at the overall situation, right? Like if Jordan Love was not good, or if Jordan Love was, in a situation that Sam Howell's in, and they were 4-11, whatever, 4-12, right? There'd be some rumblings there as well. New England, right? New England may take a quarterback as well, right? They drafted Mac Jones in the first fucking round, and they may move off of him. I understand Mac Jones is a little bit older, Jordan Love's a little bit older, but teams move on, and there are reasons. And the main reasons is new regime. Sam Howell's a 5th-round draft pick. And as you said, with the marketing thing, if you're looking at it from an even larger lens, would you be excited to have Caleb Williams or Sam Howell as your quarterback?
Listen, I'm not saying I don't like Sam Howell. I'm just saying that when you look at all of the variables, there is a very, very high chance that he gets replaced in this draft. Okay. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I don't want to make that bet, especially when we're playing Dynasty. I don't want to make that bet right now on Sam Howell, because if you lose that bet on what he cost you, which was probably a 1st-round pick plus this season.
So currently, I'm looking at the mock draft that was updated fairly recently. And this changes. They got Drake May going to the Commanders. Obviously, that's going to change. And listen, we know teams are going to draft quarterbacks at the top. They're just going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it's going to be.
I feel you, Carl. I do. Drake May went to the same shitty school as Sam Howell. I think he's going to be that different. The unfortunate reality of it is it doesn't matter if he's going to be that different. It really doesn't matter. The fact is that this guy's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and that is all that matters. If the new regime comes in and is willing to spend a top 5 pick on this guy is getting paid money. He's got a guaranteed contract. I mean, you've got the 5th year. I mean, and then them spending that money automatically doesn't matter how good he is. It doesn't matter if he's worse than Bryce Young this year. He's still going to get a chance the 2nd year. He's still going to get a chance the 3rd year, unless he's playing as horrible as like a Zach Wilson type. But
and even Zach Wilson got 75.
And even Zach Wilson keeps getting chance after chance after chance. And then he brought Jets fans back to life. But that's all I'm saying. It's not that I don't love, it's not that I don't like Sam Howell. Like, I just think that when you look at all the variables, a new coach that's coming in is not going to want to bet their job on Sam Howell. Like, I think they'd rather go out swinging with one of these top guys.
All right, perfect. This is the perfect example, right? Remember when Arizona drafted, who did they draft? They drafted Josh Rosen, remember, with like the 7th overall pick. And then the very next year, they cleaned house and brought in Kyler Murray.
Yeah, they did.
The very next season. So it happens, right? We're not saying that this hasn't happened. Like you said it, this has happened before. So, and when new regimes come in, they want to be tied to their guy. And it's just that simple, not because Sam Howell's terrible, just because that's the way the NFL works.
Mm-hmm.
So many layers.
And listen, we'll talk about it again in April once the draft comes. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If Howell gets his chance again, then he gets his chance again. But it's not looking likely with what's happened these last couple weeks.
And listen, I'll be the first one to admit, Carl and 420, like I would feel the same way with the Packers, right? They're in a similar situation where they have a quarterback that's unproven, they're not committed to long term. Now, Jordan Love was a 1st-round pick, but the point he's at in his career is very similar, where he has a lot to prove. Now, I think he's played pretty well, and obviously the team situation is different, but I would feel the same way as you guys. And even earlier in the season, I said that even if the Packers had a top 4 or 5 pick, that I would want them to build around Jordan Love. So I understand that argument. Like I did say that. If you watch, go back a couple of shows when we were talking about Jordan Love a month and a half ago, I felt the same exact way from a fandom standpoint. But there is a point when reality kicks in. It's like, we know what these NFL franchises do, right? If they clean house, they're going to draft a quarterback. And in this situation, all signs point to they're going to clean house and draft a quarterback with the top 4 pick, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, quarterback is an important position. It's that electric position. I mean, I don't know. It all just depends on what these new guys want. I know Bieniemy maybe is still going to be there, but it doesn't matter. He's not the one that's going to choose. You know? So it's tough. Like you said, I can see the other point. It makes total sense. Okay, let's give Sam Howell another year. He's a pretty young quarterback. Let's try and build around him. Let's see what happens. The problem with that is if Sam Howell isn't good, you're still going to win probably a decent amount of games where the problem is you're not going to get a top pick and be able to draft a top quarterback. So now you're going to be totally stuck where Sam Howell's not the guy. You don't have a top pick to go and draft a top guy. So now what do?
Then you find yourself in that free agent quarterback thing where you're picking up a Jimmy G or guys like those veteran stopgap guys.
Yep, you're calling Joe Flacco at 45 years old. Yo, what up? You want to fucking play? I heard Phillip Rivers was still interested in playing.
Yeah, he shut that down though.
He did.
Ryan Tannehill. You want Ryan Tannehill? You want Derek Carr?
That's all I'm saying. Carlin 420. Didn't mean to ruffle your feathers. There will always be other competition in the QB department for sure. Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to want to spend a pick of the 4th or 5th round to draft a QB that they know is not going to be the guy. They're not going to take that chance. Yeah, but he's on pace for 4,000 yards, I think, for different reasons than I think that most of us want to believe.
I don't think Sam Howell's terrible. I don't think
he is either.
I think you guys are getting it. But the point there, 420, is that, yeah, he had a relationship with Kingsbury, but they cleaned house and they tied that regime. The point is that regime hitched their wagon to that quarterback.
Whoever the coach is, the new Kingsbury that comes into Washington is going to want to tie himself and have a relation. He's going to have a relationship with somebody. That's the problem. That is the problem. And as much as, we want things to happen in the NFL, they fucking do their own thing. And it's all about, relationships and people come over, right? That's what happened. Yeah. So I think that's exactly the point is if you flip that around and look at it the other way, say, hey, whatever this new coach comes in, guess what? Sam Howell's not his guy. He's going to want to bring in his own guy that he's got a relationship with. So,
and
that's exactly that's where we're coming from. We're on that side of the fence because that's just what happens most of the time in the NFL. And that's in history. When you look back, that is typically what happens. That's all.
Right. The Jets moved off of Sam Darnold and took Zach Wilson when the new regime came in. Like it happens. We know this. We're not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. We're just saying that this is how NFL teams operate.
Exactly. You remember when the Vikings, when Case Keenum took us pretty deep? They were like, yeah, different. You know what? Let's go sign Kirk Cousins. Well,
that's a little different because of the draft.
Because he was he wasn't a rookie and all that. He was more of a veteran. But the point is that we had a quarterback that was serviceable, that kind of took us far, but we wound up instead going out and buying someone else. Was that a new regime that came in at that point?
I'm not even sure, honestly. I don't care about the Vikings that much. But I just think that, like you said, we're not hating on Sam Howell. We're just looking at the landscape of the league and what the situation is now. There's situations where teams don't do that, right? There's situations where teams pass up the quarterback and they draft the O-line, right? Like look at the Cowboys. Remember, the Cowboys could have drafted, I think, Johnny Manziel a ton of years ago, and they didn't go that route, right? They built up their offensive line, and then they ended up picking up Dak in the later rounds, right? So but that's the outlier. The Russell Wilson,
the Brock Purdy's, right? I think people seeing that now, like even more now, they're like, okay, we got to give some of these other guys chances.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, listen, the San Francisco, general manager, like their organization is stable. The Washington organization's not stable right now, right? They just sold, right? They have a new ownership group, and they're going to bring in a new regime. So there's going to be some turnover, and hopefully they get it right.
Mm-hmm. Well, just saying. I mean, if you're able to get a Drake May, I mean, can't go wrong there. Bogey, I sent you the link already, so. But yeah, I guess we're about to hop off. Any other questions? Throw them out there. But we're about to sign off for tonight. Next week, what do you want to do next week?
We could do a tight end stash.
Tight ends or
tight end quarterback.
Yeah, we got tight ends. We got quarterbacks to go. And then I guess we'll start getting into some rookies. Let's see if I could get Matt Waldman back on. See if we can talk about some of the rookies that are coming in. That would be awesome. That would be pretty cool if we can do that.
Didn't see Birdman today. Shout out to Birdman.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll be bringing stuff every week. So every week we'll just be throwing some dynasty stuffs out there. We'll get into, some buys and sells sooner or later as well. But it is championship week, so good luck if you are in the ship.
Yeah, buddy.
And hopefully you take it home.
All the way home.
Yep. Hopefully you take it home. If you've got Sam Howell in Dynasty, try and sell him now.
You're such a dick. I love that.
But it might even be too late at this point for sure. I mean, nobody's spending a first now at this point with them having a top. But you're gonna have to wait. You have to wait it out. You're gonna have to wait it out. But all right, guys, we're about to sign off. So
we gone.
You ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
You put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile. Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, I keep me put in my pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. So I hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money, money.